know you're thinking, hey Vic, is this another episode of Clint's Comics? Have you been doing episodes for almost a month here? Well, I'll answer that question by saying, yeah, buddy! Welcome to this week's edition of the Comic Hero Show. I'm your host, Victor Nunley, and I am the Comic Hero. Now, I know you probably noticed that there was a lot of Star Wars stuff going on, and I'm going to let you all know what all that is in the comic books I bought this week segment. But for right now, it's time for me to tell you what's going on. Alright, there are a few things that are going on around here. I mean, for starters, last weekend I went to see the movie Taken 3. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great movie. Thought Liam Neeson, as always, as he always does in just about every role he's ever played, he was awesome. It's kind of sad because Famke Janssen's character was killed off in it. I mean, if you're like me, you think Famke Janssen's a great actress, as well as the lovely Maggie Gray. She, of course, she played the daughter in the movie, as she has in the previous two, and it's so sad because this was the last of the last movie of the Taken franchise. But let me tell you, when everyone came to see that movie, I mean everyone, in the theater that I went to, it became standing room only, right around the time all the trailers started. I mean, heck, even Dr. Nick Bruno, the president of the University of Louisiana Monroe, was there. That's just how awesome and how much everyone was looking forward to seeing it. All right, and it's Mardi Gras season, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to be having some parades coming up later on this month and in the early part of February, and the last day of Mardi Gras ends on February 18th. That's when Ash Wednesday is. But when I found out, okay, first off, the Crew of Janus parade is coming up. And when I found out what the theme of the parade was, I was as excited as a small child on Christmas Day. Now you're probably thinking, what's the theme of the parade? Well, the theme of the parade is superheroes. You heard me. The theme of the Crew of Janus parade for this year is superheroes, and I am so looking forward to that. I'm going to do it up the best way I know how. All right, that's it for what's going on. So next up is Comically Speaking. So without further ado, let's talk comics! All right, I just got finished reading the Green Lantern New God story arc called Godhead, and there was some very... It was... the whole thing was basically like the hero becoming the enemy. Now, what I mean by that is, now in the story arc, the Allfather of the New Gods has decided that there was a lot of power in just about any ring that any lantern ever carries. It doesn't matter if it's a Green Lantern or somebody in Sinestro Corps or what have you. And he went to a whole bunch of lengths just to get all that power. But then he found out about Kyle Rayner, and he tricked him into coming to New Genesis, because Kyle realized at the time that being a White Lantern was just way too much of a burden for him. So he gives up the ring, and then all of a sudden he ends up. The Allfather decides to use it as a weapon. Tricked Kyle and then kicked him off of New Genesis. But it didn't end there. Guy Gardner and the new Green Lantern Reverse, Simon Baz, they decide to infiltrate New Genesis, and then the rest of all the lanterns. Oh, by the way, let me tell you what the Black Hand did. The Black Hand did something that I didn't think was possible. He All right, first of all, Hal Jordan recruited the Black Hand to help him against the New Gods. Well, they get to the Source Wall. The Black Hand resurrected anyone who has ever been imprisoned in the Source Wall. But then it was discovered that anyone who gets trapped in the Source Wall doesn't exactly die. They're pretty much in an animated suspension. And at the point without the possibility of being freed. Well, the Black Hand freed them, and they were temporarily dead, and they were whooping the mess out of some of the New Gods. But then they became undead and just living. And one of them was Relic, who, of course, was imprisoned in the Source Wall during the Lights Out story arc. Well, anyway, the Allfather was finally... One of the New Gods finally got the Allfather to realize that even though he was using all that to defeat Darkseid, he was pretty much becoming the enemy because he had either killed or enslaved and brainwashed a whole bunch of other lanterns into doing his will, which was what he was also about to arrive on Earth to do. And then he realized, okay, I shouldn't have done this. I'm becoming Darkseid. I'm doing exactly what he would have done. So here's all your rings back. Get the heck off New Genesis now. Oh, and by the way, the New Guardians had decided to impose some restrictions on Hal Jordan. No, he didn't give up his ring, but he said, for the time being, you are temporarily not the leader of the Green Lantern Corps. Go back to Earth. All right, and in Superman Wonder Woman, I just got finished reading this. Superman and Wonder Woman had befriended this new superhero. I forgot what his name was, but we find out he's not exactly a superhero. He's actually a villain, a new 52 version of a DC villain that appeared in the latter days or the latter years of the DC universe. And and that villain is Magog. Oh, and Superman and Wonder Woman almost got beaten up by the new 52 versions of the Atomic Skull and Major Disaster. All right, that's it for Comically Speaking. So let's get to the comics I bought this week.
Comic books I bought this week.
All right, before I go on, I want you to see the rest of the shirt that I made. This is, of course, the front of it, and this is the Old Republic flag, or the Rebel Alliance flag, whatever you want to call it. And back here is my title, The Comic Hero, with the Star Wars fonts. All right, now, here's the comics I bought this week. First up is Green Lantern Corps number 38. This is a Flash 75th anniversary title, variant cover that's done by all the, and this will be featured in most of the DC books this week, and it's going to be done by various artists. Well, in this issue we find out the ramifications for the Green Lantern Corps as far as the Godhead story arc. All right, up next is all new Captain America number 3. Now, for all of you who are watching this for the first time and really don't keep up with Captain America, this is not Steve Rogers. This is actually Sam Wilson, who was previously the Falcon. Now, he became the Captain America right after Steve Rogers went up against a villain named the Iron Nail, and he ended up extracting all the super soldier serum in his DNA, and also caused him to age rapidly into his 90s. And this right here, who Cap is going up against, that is not the Red Skull. That is actually the Red Skull's daughter, Sin, who for some reason was a very beautiful woman, but decided to rip all the flesh off of her head and face. And I actually have and Clint, I actually have the issue in which she does that. Yes, I have the issue in which Sin. in which Sin, for some reason, tears all the flesh off her face in order to make herself look like her dad. It is. It really is. All right, up next is Spider-Verse #2. This is the second issue of the Spider-Verse miniseries that's going on in Marvel. Now, the main story arc is going on in the pages of The Amazing Spider-Man. And in this issue, we find out, some more stories about and more info on some of the other dimensionally displaced spider characters. Now, I'm not going to say Spider-Men because there are some characters in some of the universes. The character there's some of them are female. Like in the MC2 universe, of course, the Spider-Man there was actually Spider-Girl, who happened to be Peter Parker's daughter, May Parker, in an alternate timeline. All right, up next is Superman Wonder Woman #15. This is, in the last issue, Superman and Wonder Woman befriended this new superhero who saved them both after they were getting beaten by the Atomic Skull and Major Disaster. Well, we find out near the end of this issue that superhero wasn't really a hero at all. It was actually the New 52 version of Magog, and I knew it would be it was going to be a matter of time before a New 52 version of that character came, because I thought in the latter days of the DC universe that Magog was probably the one person that could stand up to Superman. I mean, Superman did beat him, but he put up more of a fight than just about anyone. Well, there is Doomsday. All right, up next is Nova #25. This is a tie-in to the Avengers and X-Men Axis story arc that just ended last month. And in this issue, Nova goes up against Carnage. That could either be a good thing or a bad thing. It could be a good thing if this actually takes place during the miniseries, but it could be a bad thing if it was after the miniseries or at the end of it. Oh, and Nova was one of the few Marvel characters who was not affected in the in the Axis story arc. He's Spider-Man, and a few select others were not. All right, up next is Deadpool #40. Now this is a in this issue he finds out the ramifications from Avengers and X-Men Axis, because at the time, because it affected him a different way. Instead of going around killing folks, he just wanted to. The Axis spell ended up causing Deadpool to come in contact with come in touch with his inner Tommy Chong, if you will. And he becomes this zen, just chill guy who wouldn't harm a fly even if it was on his nose. But Deadpool ended up going back to his killing ways after, at the end of Axis. All right, up next is Batgirl #38. Now, I love what the creative team has been doing with this book. It is amazing. It's exciting. I'll be able to tell you more. Although I will say, Babs Tarr, the artist on here, has gotten a lot of criticism because of the way she draws women. Well, I'm just going to tell you right now, she gets no criticism from me. She gets a lot of kudos for her artwork, because she's not going to be one of those artists who are going to make women exotic and just drop dead gorgeous or anything. She draws it the way she sees it. So, good job, Babs. All right, up next is Avengers #40. This is a tie-in to the Secret Wars story arc miniseries. It's not a tie-in; it's a prelude to it. It's a prelude to the Secret Wars, and it's going to be coming up in Marvel in about 4 months. And I will be collecting that miniseries as well. But in this one, they go up against Thanos. So just when you thought that that he was defeated in Infinity, he's back. All right, up next is New Avengers number 28. This is also a tie-in, or a prelude issue. I need to stop saying tie-in. A prelude issue to Secret Wars, and this is the Illuminati Avengers, as I like to call them. They're back together, although they went their separate ways a few issues ago in number 23. And some of the characters in here are Doctor Strange, the Hulk, Black Widow, well, not Black Widow, Black Panther, Black Bolt, and Beast from X-Men. And so far, this has been kind of this book is just amazing. I like what Jonathan Hickman has done with it. Okay, up next is Avengers number 34.1. This is a cutting room floor issue to the Avengers, to number 34. And we learn more about some stuff that Starbrand, this character right here, goes through. And Starbrand is one of the new characters who appeared on the pages of this book in the first year. And he's also one of my favorite Avenger on this book. And I can't wait to read it. Oh, and finally, the reason why I made this shirt. And by now you probably could figure that out already. Star Wars number 1. That's right. Marvel has done a Star Wars, is coming out with a new Star Wars monthly series that I'm going to start reading. And let me tell you, I'm completely overjoyed that this has come out. Of course, for all you don't know, Disney bought the rights to Star Wars a while back, and they're going to be releasing Star Wars Episode 7 later on, I think around Christmas of this year. And I will be going out to see that as well. And you know what? I'm not even going to put this in line like I do all the other books that I'm reading. I'm going to read this as soon as I get back to my house, and I will let you know what I think of this book in next week's episode. Okay, now that's 11 I bought, which brings the total number of comics that I bought since December of 1997 to 6,636. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and I tell you, I feel like this was an epic episode, and I hope you do too. I told you I was going to try to make things better with this series, and I mean it. And I think this is just one more step to doing so. And as promised, I will read Star Wars Episode 1, and I will let you know what I think about it in next week's episode. Alright. I'm Victor Nunley. I'm the Comic Hero. Buy these comics, I must, with apologies to Yoda and Frank Oz. and next week I'll see you. So until then, be safe, be blessed, be a hero, and may the Force be with you.
All right, bud. I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely.